Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday, August 19th. Corpus Christi City Council meets today at City Hall. On the table is a resolution for negotiation of terms with Nueces County for a proposed tax increment reinvestment zone in the London area for potential consideration of the Nueces County Commissioner's Court set for tomorrow. Also on the agenda is an ordinance to award a construction contract to JE Construction Services of Corpus Christi for the Harbor Bridge Parks Mitigation Improvement Project for up to $16.4 million. The full meeting agenda as well as public comment session signups are available at corpuschristitx.gov. The City of Bishop gets a new siren system to alert the community in life-threatening emergencies, severe weather, and other public safety emergencies. The Bishop Police Department told KIII News the city installed a high-powered outdoor warning sign designed by the city. Police said the siren will be tested every Friday at noon for a minute to ensure it works properly and helps residents become familiar with the sound. Bishop's siren is similar to a jet engine in which the sound decreases with distance but is designed to be heard around the city. Police advised Bishop residents to sign up for reverse alert and consider a NOAA weather radio for backup warnings. The Corpus Christi Alert Program partners with jurisdictions in Aransas, Nueces, Refugio, and San Patricio counties. To learn more, visit corpuschristitx.gov. A bond election will be on the ballot in November for Brownsville ISD voters. Its school board of trustees approved the election in a meeting yesterday with 5 votes for it and 2 against it. District officials said they need extra money for building upgrades and a new performing arts center. This is the second time the school board voted on the proposal. In February, they struck down a motion to have the bond election in May. The bond election is now set for November 4th. During the 9th round of the Commercial Oyster Boat License Buyback Program, Texas Parks and Wildlife received 115 commercial oyster boat applications and purchased 112 commercial oyster licenses. The purchased licenses represent a 21% reduction of all oyster licenses available in Texas. TPWD held its first buyback for oyster licenses in 2018. This year, instead of a reverse bid process, TPWD offered a fixed $30,000 buyback price for each license, which was made possible through outside philanthropic support. TPWD originally aimed to purchase 150 commercial oyster licenses. More information about the program can be found online at tpwd.texas.gov. City of Port Lavaca Public Works Director Wayne Schaffer meticulously checks chlorine levels at 33 different sites around town. He noted that several factors play a role in maintaining safe chlorine levels, such as maintaining proper pressure in the water system. Seasonal temperature differences throughout the year can also affect residual chlorine levels. Nearby, the City of Victoria recently posted several boil water notices due to low chlorine levels.
As a licensed operator in the state of Texas, it's of utmost importance to me. People depend on us to provide them with drinking water. So when you have to boil it, it's an inconvenience, and there's a level of safety that residents and the end consumer don't feel.
That's Schaffer speaking with 25 News Now. While the City of Port Lavaca contracts a third-party company to treat its water, Schaffer personally double-checks the water to confirm it meets safety standards and is not being wasted. Hurricane Erin is poised to bring deadly rip currents to the U.S. East Coast, but will not make landfall as destructive waves and storm surge line North Carolina's Outer Banks. Atlantic hurricane season is hitting its stride, threatening to spin up another named storm in Erin's wake. Erin, currently a Category 3 hurricane, is not forecast to make landfall, but will touch off life-threatening surf conditions as it tracks up the East Coast. Bermuda will face similar conditions to the storm's east. At least 75 rip current rescues were conducted along North Carolina's southern coast yesterday, according to officials in New Hanover County. The county's Wrightsville Beach has offered a no-swim advisory through Friday. Along the southern U.S. border, advanced technology has become a vital part of the Trump administration's efforts to secure the border. An MQ-9 Predator B drone previously used in warfare was operated by the National Air Security Operations Division of Customs and Border Protection at the Army base about 70 miles south of Tucson, Arizona. With the drop in migrant crossings at the southern U.S. border, the drones are now tasked with fewer missions. That means they have the time to track small groups or even individual migrants. The Department of Homeland Security already allocated 12,000 hours of MQ-9 drone flight time this year at the Fort Huachuca base and says the flights cost $3,800 per hour, though an Inspector General report in 2015 said the amount is closer to $13,000 when factoring in personnel salaries and operational costs. Maintenance issues and bad weather often mean the drones fly around half the allotted hours, according to officials. Corpus Christi Parks and Rec has temporarily closed the Islander Pavilion at McCaughan Park at 402 South Shoreline Boulevard for lighting improvements. The closure will run through 3 p.m. tomorrow, weather permitting. During the temporary closure, the pavilion will be open for public use from 3 to 10 p.m. It is frequently used outside of regular hours and on weekends. The lighting improvements involve transitioning the existing pavilion lighting to energy-efficient LED fixtures. Updates will be provided by the City of Corpus Christi should there be any changes to the schedule or work scope. For more information about the variety of programs and services offered by CC Parks and Rec, visit ccparkandrec.com. Teens spending too much time on cell phones and electronic devices may be unhealthy, but a new study suggests it may put them at risk for cardiometabolic disease. In this installment of the KERA series Vital Signs, cardiologist Carl Horton with Texas Health explains cardiometabolic disease and why teens in this case are at risk.
Basically, cardiometabolic disease kind of refers to a compilation of risk factors that increase your risk for developing cardiovascular disease in the future, as well as type 2 diabetes. Things such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, those are kind of some of your main risk factors.
So how would this tie to excessive use of cell phones and electronic devices?
It was kind of more of an association between screen time and also the amount of sleep between children and adolescents. So I looked at their total screen time, whether it was with a cell phone or playing video games or TV or in front of a computer, and they looked at that screen time and the amount of sleep, and then they also did measurements of the children to kind of come up with a risk score of what they thought their risk of developing cardiovascular disease would be in the future.
Is this about the amount of time they spend on screens, period, or maybe them spending too much time at night on screens?
Probably refers to a little bit of both, because we know that if you're in front of a screen for several hours per day, you're usually less physically active at that time. With regards to the timing of the screen time, usually if you reviewed the study, there was a comment that people that are on their screens late at night, that it may affect with the total duration of sleep at night. And so it's known that blue light from screens can affect perhaps the amount of melatonin that's produced, and melatonin helps regulate your circadian rhythms as well as the amount of your sleep-wake cycle. And so it's thought that being on screens too late is bad overall for your sleep regulation and then subsequent cardiovascular health.
And all of this puts you at higher risk for cardiometabolic disease.
That's correct, in the future. And we've already seen, children, adolescents who are, the rates of type 2 diabetes has been increasing in that population. There's a lot of things related to that. Some of it, of course, is related to diet and processed foods, but a lot of it is also related to physical inactivity.
I understand you see this in your own home?
Of course, everybody does. Anybody who's raising children now, we know it's a struggle to try to keep them off of their devices and also to try to get them more active. And so as a parent, you also want to encourage your children to put those phones down early, set parameters, and then also make sure that your children are staying physically active by doing some type of sports or other activity. I treat, of course, mostly adults, but I do usually ask in terms of how much physical activity they're doing per week. I also will ask a lot of patients in terms of the amount of sleep that they get per night. And so I think for pediatricians out there and those that treat adolescents, they got to, definitely hone in on those questions a lot earlier.
Of course, it really isn't just a problem, though, for teens.
It is across the board. Also, this study kind of looked at two previous cohorts, and it was based out of Denmark. But I think what would be more interesting if they could put it together would be kind of a long-term randomized trial looking at this from a small community, kind of like the Framingham study, but follow kids through adolescence and young adulthood over, let's say, 30 to 40 years and kind of get a more accurate assessment of the potential risk of exposed screen time as well as sleep duration.
Of course, I guess if you use the cell phone the right way, you could use that to enhance your health.
And we've seen that some also with smart devices, such as the Apple Watch, where patients can really track their health, track their number of steps that they're taking, Fitbit devices. So technology can be used for good. but it just has to be used for good and not just strictly, other things.
And that was the latest episode of KERA's Vital Signs featuring cardiologist Carl Horton with Texas Health. And in sports, World Series champion and three-time American League All-Star Jordan Alvarez is set to appear tonight at Whataburger Field as the Corpus Christi Hooks open a 6-game series against the Frisco RoughRiders. Alvarez, rehabilitating a right-hand injury, has been out of action since May and is slated to serve as Corpus Christi's designated hitter this evening. Last season, Alvarez joined Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell as the only players in Astros history to achieve 30-plus home runs in at least 4 consecutive seasons. Alvarez led the Astros by hitting .308 with 34 doubles, 35 home runs, 86 RBIs, and a .959 OPS. Now here's a flashback for you. As a 20-year-old in 2018, Alvarez hit .325 with 13 doubles, 12 home runs, and 46 RBIs in 43 games with the Hooks. First pitch is set for 6:35 p.m. tonight. For tickets, visit cchooks.com or call 361-561-4665. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.